Welcome to the Psych Gym. I'm your trainer, Vanessa Perry, a former mental health therapist turned intuitive counselor. Much like a physical gym, in this space we'll aim to target specific psychological muscles and train them to be stronger. I'm so glad you are joining this gym. Let's hit the weights. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Psych Gym. I'm Vanessa Perry, your trainer, and today, here we go. We've talked about the Saboteur before. We talk about how I have to have lots of talks with my inner saboteur because she's very, very clever. But today we're going to talk about how that interacts with what we call the self-fulfilling prophecy. And I know probably a lot of you have heard about that. And we'll talk a little bit more about it, obviously, in this episode. But I really like the idea of putting these two things together of how that happens, because sometimes it's not the inner saboteur. And maybe this will become like a little bit of a little series of self-fulfilling prophecy in different ways. Today, inner saboteur. I just want to remind everybody when we're doing this kind of stuff, it's not about, being blameful and being really mad at ourselves and kind of throwing ourselves off a cliff because we do things like this. It's just about understanding stuff that we do, understanding our unconscious things that we're doing. And, I know for me, I need that reminder quite often because I talk shit on my saboteur because she's done some things. She's done some things that I'm like, I really don't want to do that anymore. Why are you so strong? Right? Like she's freakishly strong, this saboteur, because she's been used a lot. That pathway has made me safe, right? Or it has the perception of safety. So here's kind of how we're gonna get into it right now. So let's talk about the self-fulfilling prophecy itself. A self-fulfilling prophecy is when you have a belief about yourself or about the world or about things that you do or people in your life. Through that thought, there becomes behavior, right? There's interpretations, and that all comes through your belief system, right? All of that, and it will influence your reality in a way that will make it come true, right? Like you literally make what you think is going to happen through your behaviors, through the lens that you're seeing other people's behaviors come through, right? It's all coming through your belief system. Gosh, how many times do we talk about that? And how do we talk about changing our belief systems in our therapy sessions so that we will not have that filter be so strong when we're receiving information or giving information or running around believing that we know why things are the way that they are. So, we'll have some examples here. I'm bad at confrontation. This one's about me. I'm bad at confrontation, so you just avoid it completely. Then everything starts to snowball and it bottles up, and then you pop off because the confrontation has to happen now, and it's way bigger than it needed to be. But then it confirms your belief, right? Because then you had a bad transaction, right? That confrontation did not go the way it was supposed to go or the way I wanted it to go, right? So then I confirm that belief within myself that I am bad at confrontation because I was technically, but it was because I was not confronting things correctly or before they became so big, right? Like avoidance was actually the thing that makes me bad at confrontation because I wait. Another example, when people say, people always leave me. Well, then they'll be around somebody that makes them feel a certain way, and then it'll scare them. They'll start to be guarded or start to withdraw or start to just have some tension or some beliefs, that person's being fake, that person doesn't really like me, and so they'll kind of push them away or try to test them and try to make them prove that they are going to stay. And well, you know what's going to happen? Eventually that person's going to get sick of that shit and is going to leave. And then it's like, see, everybody abandons me. Like, no, that's not really what happened here, right? But this is what happens in the self-fulfilling prophecy when it is in our unconscious. We're doing it without really knowing because these are just cycles that we have. We haven't healed the wounds that create these cycles. So we're just going to go to that cycle again, right? So we have a belief, And then that belief creates this expectation of what things are. And then we'll create behaviors around the beliefs and the expectations. And we create an outcome. We create it. We literally push the outcome because we already know it's coming, right? So we will start to do all those behaviors that maybe protect us from it, or we think we're getting ready for it, or we're doing it first, and then we reinforce the belief, but it's not real reinforcement, right? It's it's through our belief system that usually is faulty, right? When, especially in these negative things, these things that feel like they're going wrong. It's not that all of our beliefs are bad, and that sometimes our self-fulfilling prophecy is a good thing, right? But today we're talking about with the saboteur. So we're not obviously not talking about the great kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, which is I feel so good about myself that I absolutely know that I can do whatever it is that I want to do. And then I go do it. That is also a self-fulfilling prophecy. Not what we're talking about today, though. So here we go with our inner saboteur again. I don't remember what episode number it is, but there is an episode about this of the Psych Gym about our inner saboteur. At that time, I'm pretty sure I was talking to her really hard because she was doing a lot of stuff. But our inner saboteur is a protector. It's one of our protector parts. It's not a defective part of us. It's not a part that is doing things wrong. It's a part that's really, really protective. And a lot of times this comes from our early life. Again, not to be Freudian, but our caretakers, our attachment wounds, standards that were put on us, trauma responses, stuff that happened in our childhood, right? Like we learn how to protect against them because we know that we have to protect against them. Sometimes, our inner saboteur has a lot of biases, a lot of things that it thinks is true, right? It has the ability to catastrophize really quickly because, again, like it's trying to protect us. So it's going to try to go to the outcome really fast and try to figure out what to do about it really quickly so that we will be safe. Another part of our inner saboteur is that there's a lot of emotional predictions that will happen. It's trying to figure out how we're going to feel. It's trying to avoid shame, guilt, rejection, failure, hurt, really, by controlling what happens. Right? So, again, like not the villain. It's just something that we're trying to make sure that we can work with instead of have it just kind of jump into the driver's seat and drive us off a cliff, which is what mine definitely does. Everybody's works in a different way, so you have to get in touch with your inner saboteur. But it's really just trying to prevent pain, right? Like trying to prevent pain, trying to do some damage control sometimes. Sometimes it's about, lowering an expectation or running before you get ran on, right? So some things that your saboteur might say, don't even try it. You're going to suck at this. Or, if they get really close to you, they're going to see the real you. They're going to leave anyway. So you might as well either not get attached to them or leave first. Or this is going to fall apart anyway, so don't even try. Right? Like I've been in some of those places before, definitely. And that goes with the avoidant attachment system that used to operate within me. It definitely leads, it links to avoidance, overthinking, lots of hypervigilance, right? Like our saboteur is hypervigilant in lots of different ways. So let's see, like, how does this happen? How does our saboteur make things happen? How? So the saboteur usually takes the cues that come in as threats, right? Like it goes through that system, right? Of this probably isn't safe. So, if somebody doesn't answer my text right away, it's because blank, right? They're losing interest, or they're with somebody else, or they're not really, they've been playing me anyway, right? So this interpretation comes in of just a behavior. Then we bring a behavior that comes with it, right? So maybe I'll withdraw too, or test somebody, or for me, with my anxious avoidant, I'm not anxious avoidant anymore. With my anxious attachment, it would be like a barrage, right? Like looking for validation because I have interpreted that something that the silence means something. So now I have to go and fill the silence and get you out of silence because it's freaking me out, right? So that's the behavior that goes with my belief of what's happening. Then here comes the outcome, right? So that what I just told you about is a true story about me, right? I'm going and I'm looking for reassurance. Then the other person is like, holy shit, calm the fuck down, right? And it's and they don't want it. They're not looking for that. They're like, man, I was just not answering. I mean, it's not exactly how I'm not giving the exact thing, but you know, that person doesn't want the pressure. Doesn't they feel confused? They feel like the expectation is something they can't meet. Or, you know, if you've withdrawn too, they feel that distance. And then what happens? That outcome happens. That person now withdraws from me because of how I acted, right? And that, right? Saboteurs over here. I told you, told you, told you, told you. They withdrew from you. You said, hey, what's going on? 3 times. And then they were like, wow, this is a lot. You're like, I can't do this. And your saboteur's like, told you they weren't that into you because somebody who was into you would blah, blah, blah. Right? God. And that's how my saboteur works. She's very logical. She really, God, she's so smart, but it's bad. I wish she wasn't that smart. So these cycles, they're automatic. They're not something that people think about. I don't think about that, right? Like my nervous system is driving at that point. And so until I stop myself because I'm like, whoa, you are in a nervous system situation right now. Until I do that, I'm just going to keep going through the cycle because I haven't healed the wound. I haven't stopped the behavior. I haven't talked to the belief system in order to change that belief system. So that's what we have to do. We have to learn how to interrupt that cycle. And I'm going to try to help you do that with a couple tools. So first, something that I find does help, like you hear me talking about the saboteur. I I also use my middle name as my saboteur name because she's pushy, right? Like, and it's who comes out when things are not okay, usually, right? So it's when we name it, we're kind of externalizing it. That we're saying this is part of me, but it's a part of me that I want to talk to. I want to look at. I don't want it to be embodying me right now. I don't want it to be inside me. I'm going to take it out and we're going to talk to it. This is a part of me who is doing this. This isn't the whole me. This isn't the whole picture. So sometimes that really helps to be able to say, hey, you know, so and so is present right now. It's like having split personalities. So and so is present right now. Why are you here? What's going on? Right. Then we're going to do the check-in. Well, I already started doing that for you, but this is everybody's least favorite part when I do it in session because it's annoying as fuck, right? Like I'm like, okay, what do you feel? Why do you feel that way? What do you think is going to happen? Where'd you get that information? Why, right? So we're going to ask what you feel. What's the actual feeling? Don't give a blanket statement to yourself. I feel upset. Not good enough. I feel mad. Not good enough. I feel alone. Not good enough. You got to get deep into that feelings wheel and be, you know, I feel anxiety. I feel not good enough. I feel abandoned. I feel rejected. You have to be able to name it as specifically as possible. Then we're going to ask what we think is going to happen, right? What's the prediction here? They're going to leave, or I'm going to fail at this, or everybody's going to do A, B, and C when they find out that I blank, right? There's a prediction that always comes with this. And then what am I planning to do because of that prediction? Like just naming what am I about to do right now? Am I going to over explain? Am I going to hit you with your own medicine, right? I'm going to match your shitty energy and just be shitty too. Like, what am I going to do right now because of what I've just decided is going to happen? And then the next thing that we're going to do when we feel like we got a good handle on what is actually going on, we've grounded ourselves in, okay, we're naming what we believe is happening. We are going to talk about what else might be happening, right? Again, super annoying in sessions. People hate it, but it's very effective where I'm like, all right, so now we talked to your saboteur. Let's go and talk to so and so's blank, right? Like, or let's just jump inside their brain and think about what else might be going on. Think about their life, think about who they are, think about their temperament, all of that, right? What other things do you think might be a reason why they would say that, or why they wouldn't answer a text, or, why they did A, B, or C? Oh, they could also be busy. They don't really know what I'm doing, or they they're anxious too, so they're freaking out over there also, right? We're just kind of creating alternate explanations to take certainty away, right? Like, what we want to do with our saboteur is to attack its certainty and be like, man, you don't know everything. You think you do, and you're trying to help, and I love that about you. You're so strong, but like, you don't know everything. Let's get some more information before we make absolute decisions. Real information, not made up information, guys. Cannot stress that enough. Because again, my saboteur will take things and say, well, that's information and that's true. And so that's what's happening. And it's like, oh gosh, sometimes it can be exhausting to have a conversation with her. And yours might be that strong too. Then, when we've done that, when we've gotten into those beliefs, we're going to start interrupting our behaviors, right? We're going to stop the loop. Do not send the text. If you're me, do not. But then sometimes send it. And this is why it's so hard, right? Because sometimes I don't want to make waves if I feel like things are okay, but there's something that's bothering me, right? Because I'm like, oh, you're just gonna cause problems because I've been in those relationships. Why are you causing problems where there are no problems? It's not a problem for me to say, hey, you know what? I didn't feel great about, like, that wasn't awesome today. I felt like you weren't present with me this morning, and I really love that we're present together in the morning. And yeah, like, I'd like to do something different. I want to be able, we want to be able to do that, because it's not real confrontation. It's confronting your feelings and letting somebody know about them. But if I don't do that ahead of time, guess what happens? Way later, when something else comes up, it's an and. It becomes an and. And do you know what else you do? Right? Like in the mornings, oh, you're not present. So sometimes I got to send the text, and sometimes I don't got to send the text, because man, can I send some nasty texts if I don't stop myself. I do know where I got that behavior from, but I don't like that it still exists, but it does. It's just what happens, right? Your defense system has all its tools, and they're just not going to put it down. That doesn't feel safe. So we just have to do these interruptions. So to say, yeah, that's going to be really effective in the moment, but is it going to be effective long term in the way that I would like this to go? So take some breaths, do the pause, right? This is part of it too. Just do nothing sometimes. Give yourself a minute. A minute is so long when you pause. Most people, when they actually do the pause that I ask them to do, and myself, it's like less than 5 seconds before you're like, okay, I'm just like not going to do that, or I'm not going to say that, because that is not helpful. We will also want to be able to ask those clarifying questions instead of assumptions. Am I just assuming what's going on, or can I ask a question instead of making an accusation? Again, when I'm heated, this is hard to do. And I do this for a living. So hard to do. I am guilty of making assumptions. Happens. I do them way less than I usually do. Now I get the information and then bring it both barrels loaded. And, again, like, we want to delay. So sometimes we'll say, hey, if in 5 minutes you still feel the same way, that's fine. You can still do it, but you're going to give yourself 5 minutes. And in that 5 minutes, you're not going to ramp yourself up and start being like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep going through this cycle of what else could be going on. What's really going on? What other information do I have? That's what you have to do in those 5 minutes. Then also, for me, my nervous system tells me beforehand. So I get the feeling, and then the thoughts start to race. And then after the thoughts start to race, then the behaviors start to come in. So I have to do nervous system stuff. Breathing, just breathing differently. Sometimes it is taking deep breaths. Sometimes it's taking timed breaths. Sometimes it's making sure that I'm breathing through my nose in and out through my mouth. And sometimes that has to be timed differently, like 3 seconds in, 6 seconds out, right? It's really just, kind of bringing me back to myself, grounding, slowing my nervous system, handling my vagus nerve, touching my vagus nerve. Sometimes we'll want to do maybe a sensory orientation or disruption, right? Like sometimes if I'm overwhelmed and I close my eyes, it helps me come back to myself because I'm not getting as much sensory input. And then other times you need the sensory input, right? Like I'm just going to put some music on right now because I need a little something in my ears, right? Or I need to take a bath, or I need to put some lotion on, or, something sensory, something that can be concrete for you to ground you. And yes, we're going to make some statements. We're going to say some things like, I have all of my sticky notes over here. Who's in charge right now? The saboteur or the alchemist? Let the process. Today, I trust the universe has my back. I do them too. That's why I teach them. So those are some ways that we can try to interrupt this process and give our saboteur a break and let somebody else come forward. And that will be that's a whole other podcast of who we want to come forward when our saboteur is driving. And maybe you can do some of that information or do some of that digging on your own time, right? Like after you've heard this and thinking while you're doing this, while you're kind of having a talk with your inner saboteur, you can ask yourself, who do I want to be here anyway? Do I want a compassionate person? Do I need a person who just has a shield, right? Like it's a different kind of protector who just does nothing, but just also doesn't take any of this input in, right? That sometimes is very, very helpful for trying to put anybody in the driver's seat. And it's not always going to go right from saboteur to regular me. I mean, I don't even think that ever has happened for me anyway. So yeah, like that's in a nutshell how we're talking about the self-fulfilling prophecy and trying to interrupt that process with our inner saboteur. So I don't want you to feel like this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy is something that you should be angry at yourself about. We all do it. It is built around a system of fear and protection, and it's, in our brain to do that. Our brain is wired to keep us safe, and in whatever ways possible, whatever ways have worked, become stronger too. And until we've made a decision that they're not working anymore, we're not typically going to change any of this stuff. But if you're feeling like, I am sabotaging some stuff in some weird ways, I am pushing narratives, and I'm finding out later that they were not true, this is the work that we're trying to do, right? Like if you're looking back with regret, you need to have a talk up with your inner saboteur. Like 100%. Please hear that. So we're not talking about like killing the inner saboteur. Like we can't, first of all, but we're just trying to create an option that exists outside of the saboteur. Be able to reach for somebody else's hand and not just let that person push us down and go in there and destroy everything, light it on fire. We used to joke, my friends and I would joke that I would just light it on fire and run away. And I did because for lots of different reasons, for the anxious attachment or the avoidant, the fearful avoidant attachment is when I was lighting things up and running away. But we're just trying to understand ourselves and find the different parts of us that bring us a self-fulfilling prophecy in a positive way, in the way that we want to create our lives, not just have them happen. So again, like just real quick, right? Like we're going to notice the belief, we're going to identify our saboteur, we are going to interrupt the cycle, and we're just going to like create new behaviors. Maybe I should have started with that. You wouldn't have had to hear all the rambling. But just try that. Just try to see, what happens when that happens to you. Usually it's an upset. I mean, truly it is. Like my saboteur doesn't need to come out unless there's some danger anyway, right? So there's not generally upset, or there's generally some sort of upset, and that upset can be nervousness, right? Like procrastination can be my saboteur, right? Like it can be my saboteur's behavior, right? But the fear behind that would be maybe failure. And so it won't look like a big explosion, but it'll definitely be me sabotaging through procrastination. right? Making that thing not happen because I won't do the things that make that thing happen. Tricky, crazy. So anyway, that is the episode for this week. I know that I have been like off. I have not been on when it comes to recording these, and so I'm trying to be more consistent. And I will in the future. But that is that for today. As always, take care of yourselves, and thank you for letting me be your guide today. Love y'all. Thanks for listening. To learn more about what I do and how to work with me, head to thepsychgym.com to check it out. Keep lifting, y'all. It's worth it.